Hey, hey, my name is Jillian Sidoti. Today we're talking about the 7 psychological triggers you can use to attract investors, get them investing in your deals. And I have slides. I have slides to show you so that you can follow along. It's like follow the bouncing ball. But before we get into that, remember when we're building an investor attraction machine where we turn on the machine and money comes out of it to fund our deals or fund our business, we must have all 7 pillars and 21 steps. Watch my other videos to see more on this subject. But here's the thing, guys. If you don't do all 7 pillars and 21 steps, much like a car without an alternator, it will not go. It will not work. Something will break down. So you really need to make sure that you have all 7 pillars and 21 steps. And today we are going to talk about those 7 investor psychology triggers that unlock funding, even if you're new, niche, or not yet profitable. All right. So this is how you convince your investors to come into the deal and invest with you. And I'm sure we've all been here before where you have a perfect deal, but you panic, you worry, you miss. You're like, I can't close fast. I need to hurry and get that money and. So we want to get rid of that. We want to get rid of that panic, worry, fear of missing out. And what we're going to learn in this particular presentation is most investor decisions are psychological, they're not numerical. I have found that investors invest based on emotion and then they justify their emotional investment with the numbers. So it's emotion first, numbers second. The numbers are important. Don't get me wrong. That's how they justify the investment, but they're going to invest based on an emotion. These are the 7 psychological driven triggers that investors will respond to. And this is how you can start building your capital raising system today. So maybe this sounds like you're like on a hamster on a wheel. That doesn't look like a hamster though. That looks like I hate robots. I hate robots. Okay, so let's see if this is for you. You have deals but no system. You feel family or time pressure to get funded and you're simply exhausted from chasing investors. I hear that all the time. So my name is Jillian Sidoti. I've been an entrepreneur most of my life and I've done all kinds of stuff. It doesn't really make a difference on what I've done. I've also had my own failures, like a lot of you out there, where I've had failed partnerships. I've been sued. I've had deals that have gone bad in real estate. And my first business, which was a record label, failed. But my favorite stories are people like you out there raising capital and making things great. But we all know that person who raised capital and had no business raising capital. And it probably drove you nuts. Like, why can't it be me? Well, it's probably because they were using psychological triggers. Now, there's people out there who are definitely scam artists who are using these psychological triggers as well. So that's the thing. So you need to have not just the great deal, but you also need to be using the psychological triggers. You can't just have psychological triggers and be raising capital. That is not no bueno, right? We don't want to be doing that. I personally have been a victim of a Ponzi scheme before, and I don't want you to be a victim of a Ponzi scheme, and I don't want any of your investors. I definitely don't want any of your investors to be a victim of as well. So but the truth is that raising capital is a psychological game. It's not just about having the deals, it's also about being compelling and for people to know, like, and trust you. So let's talk about myths versus reality. The myth is that you need the top tier returns or perfect metrics. I can tell you stories about entrepreneurs who've raised capital and only paid 1 to 4% return on investment. Not even kind of kidding. That is absolutely true. What the reality is trust and story worthiness are so much more important than those numbers. They have to be able to trust you. I could tell you that by selling moon rocks, we would make 50% return on investment. That doesn't mean you're going to invest if you don't trust that I can actually get moon rocks and that they're actually worth 50% return on investment. So, you see what I'm saying? Like, you have to make sure that you're trustworthy and you're story worthy more than anything else before the numbers. The numbers come second. Okay, so what's our first trigger? A certainty signal. And this is cognitive fluency and an emotional contagion. The certainty trigger is like that you're calm and confident. Your calm confidence will build the trust that investors need, and then they'll mirror your energy. So, how can you get that certainty trigger going? How can you build that confidence? I love using AI for these purposes. I ask AI, look at my deal, now create a frequently asked questions around this deal. And that way, you know all of the objections or questions that an investor might have. And so you can anticipate this, right? And you'll be shocked or offended by absolutely nothing. Trigger number two, social proof, storytelling, social validation, and authority bias. You might have noticed earlier in the slides, I had a picture of Grant Cardone. That's because I used to represent them. Usually when I'm doing a presentation like this, I'll go into that. I'll say like, hey, I used to represent Grant Cardone, because that gives me social validation, right? Gives me credibility. Um, Now, if that's where, if Grant Cardone could trust me, you can trust me too, right? So you have to find um, social validation, authority bias somewhere. Get endorsements, case studies, things like that of things you've done before. So I don't have any traction. I hear this all the time from especially new entrepreneurs, new fundraisers, new syndicators. I don't have any traction. Where is my credibility? You can borrow it, right? Get a team together, surround yourself. I remember, like, okay, obviously, I was very, very young, but I remember Ross Perot was running for president way back, is it the 90s? I don't remember. But Ross Perot was running for president, and so many people called him out and said, "But you're not a politician. You've never run for office before. You don't have any experience." And his thing was, now Ross Perot had his own credibility from Texas Instruments and things like that, but his the way he approached that was, "Yeah, I'm going to surround myself with the best people. I'm not just relying on myself." Maybe you have other business experience. Like, for example, I had a client who was a rocket scientist, right? And he was also an apartment syndicator. And he was a first time apartment syndicator. But a lot of people would, you know, trust him because he was a rocket scientist, right? So like, yeah, you're really smart. I think you might know what you're doing. Example number 3, get a mentor or get yourself involved in a network where you can borrow from their credibility. And finally, get some traction going and use that as your social proof. You get people to join your interest list. We're seeing strong enthusiasm, things like that. Okay, let's move on to trigger number 3, clear use of funds. If you put a clear use of funds together, then you get rid of that fear of loss. See, people people are more afraid of or would rather not make any money than lose money. So huge returns mean nothing if there's a huge chance of losing money. And you could say, okay, that's risk reward, but no, actually losing money feels way worse than as good as making money feels. So the more you can have a clear use of funds, the less ambiguous you can be, the more confident your investors will be, because it will show them where every dollar goes and why. And also, I really encourage you to use timelines, like on, and what I used to do when I was practicing law and I was creating these timelines for some of my clients is we do a month by month timeline. What are our milestones going to be on a month by month basis? Those things are really, really powerful in helping an investor understand exactly what you're going to do, where their money's going to go, and how the business plan is going to play out. It gives them a lot of confidence. This is just a silly slide. Anyway, trick number 4, professional framing, the halo effect, competence heuristic. Okay, polished decks signal responsibility. I mean, this sounds like so crazy obvious, but here's what I'll say about this right now, and where this takes a turn at this point in time. This takes a turn at this point in time because everybody's using IA and they're not even polishing that IA. IA, did I say I meant AI. I think you all know what I meant. But everybody's using AI now, and we really, really, really want to make sure that when we're using AI, we're using it in a way that enhances our writing, not completely replaces our writing. If I see one more Facebook post that is like this super long, uh, telling me how it is post that was clearly written by ChatGPT, I'm going to lose my mind. So don't do that. Make sure that if you are going to use AI, it is enhancing your presentation, not replacing it. You don't ever want AI to replace the human side of your investment opportunity. So that's really important. Okay, so join me for part 2 on this video where we'll go through the final 7 triggers. Well, the final 7. It's the final 3 of the 7, and I'll see you soon at the next video. Oh, wait, before I go, if you want to join our school group where you can get more great information and join the discussion on raising capital, the link is below. And if you want help with building your very own investor attraction machine, you can schedule a call with one of our capital strategists.